Hey folks, Mr. Dell here. Hey, we're going to spend some time reviewing area and circumference of circles. Make sure we understand the formulas and what they mean and how to then use them to find area, circumference, or sometimes the radius or diameter. So um, as you notice, I've already have up here this area formula and as well right here our circumference formula. So we're going to talk about those and I'll reference those. So as I do this, I'm going to use a couple questions. One is going to be E. So let's look at E. It says find the circumference of the circle. So up here, this question I had done earlier, circumference is always the pi times diameter. And where does that come from? Why pi? And we use this approximation of 3.14 for pi, right? Pi actually is 3.1415926. It's an irrational number, so it has decimal places that just continue on, but a good approximation for us in this would be 3.14. And why 3.14? Because what it is if I'll use this circle as an example, from there to there is 13 centimeters is what that says, right? That distance. And so if I take that diameter and I wrap it around the circle 1, 2, 3 times, every diameter wraps around a circle 3 times with a little bit more, 3 and an eighth, a little bit more than an eighth, right? So you have 3.14 is what we say, that 14 hundredths of a diameter is what's that part is. So that's how we know why we use pi, because that's our constant. So it's constantly that many diameters around a circle. So let's go to this question. If I need to know, I need to know the diameter. What they've given me is that piece is called the radius, right? From there to there is the radius. So if I extend my radius and put a second radius, now I have the diameter. So if this is 3.5, then the distance here, that diameter would be 7. It would be twice of that, right? So the diameter equals 7 centimeters and or meters. So if that's the case, I go back to my formula and all I have to do is take the circumference is 3.14 times 7. So because that's what pi we're using for pi. So how we do that on the calculator is we're just because I'm dealing with decimals and we can utilize our calculator for these questions. So 3.14 times 7 and we get 21.98. So we would have the circumference as 21.98 and we're dealing with meters, so it's just meters, not meter squared, because squared would be area. In this case, it's linear, it's just distance, so it stays as meters. Okay, so there's E. So then let's try U. Let's move over to U. U says find the radius of a circle that has an area of 78.5. So now I'm given the area and I need to find the radius. Well, if I go back and review what we talked about earlier here, area is pi times radius squared. That's the formula for finding it, right? There's a way to show why that's the case, but in this right now, we're just going to use that formula. We know that if I had the radius and I squared it, that means multiply by itself twice, right? That means r times r. And then I multiply by pi, that would give me my area. So I know I'm going to write this down. Area, as in the formula, is pi times radius, right? And we know what we're using for pi. So, and I know what my area is. So really I have this 78.5 is equal to 3.14 times r. That's what I have. So how can I clean this up and get an idea maybe what r is? What I want to do is an inverse operation. If this is multiplication, I would use division to figure out what possibly my r is. So I'm going to take 78.5 and I'm going to divide it by 3.14. That's the math I'm going to start with. Okay, so when I do the division, and I'm just writing that down so you see that, I can do this on a calculator. So we've got, clear that, we have 78.5, and I'm going to divide it by 3.14, and I get 25. So here's what I've got. If I divided, right, I divided by 3.14, now I have 25 is equal to what? R times R. Oops, R squared is what really it is, right? So R times R. So what would R be? What would my radius be? What number multiplies by itself to get 25? Well, R has to equal 5. So 5 centimeters, because it's 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, so it's working backwards. If they give you the area or the circumference, work backwards to find what's missing. All right, last one I'll do here, and that's I. And I says, what is the diameter of a circle that has circumference of 21.98? So again, circumference is equal to pi times the diameter, correct? Pi times d, or diameter. So if I'm needing to find the diameter, and they give me the circumference. So I know that 21.98 is equal to what? 3.14, that's what we're using for pi, times the diameter. So if I want to find the diameter, I use inverse operations. I'm going to divide by 3.14, right? Divide both sides by 3.14. That's how you would solve for that d, dividing by that coefficient. So d is equal to, what is it? So we're going to say, in the calculator one more time, we're going to go 21.98 divided by 3.14, and I get 7. So my diameter is 7, and in this case, it looks like it's 7 meters. So the diameter is 7 meters. All right, there we go. Oh no, one more. Let's do P. So P says, what is the difference in area between the two circles? So the area between the two circles. That means first I have to find the area and then find the difference. Difference means, right, subtraction. So first of all, what is the area of each of these circles? So I'm going to find the area of the small one and area of the big one, and then subtract them. So how we find area, right? Area is pi times radius, or radius squared. So I'm going to do all this work on a calculator, and then I can get the difference after I'm done. So what do I see? I see, so for my first circle, the small circle, the radius is 2. So we're going to go 3.14 times 2 times 2, right? And that gives me 12. So the area of that small circle is 12.56. So for the big circle, that radius is 5. So I'm going to plug that into the formula. So pi 3.14 times 5 times 5, and we get 78.5. So it wants to know what's the difference. So I need to take that 78.5 now and subtract from it 12.56. And I get 65.94. So the difference, so the final answer here is 65.94. That's the difference between the two areas. All right, there we go.